Hey everybody, it's Wild Man, and hunting season's right around the corner. I've had a few questions here lately about survival kits, more specifically what I carry with me when I go hunting. So I grabbed my bag out here. I'm just going to go through it with you guys, maybe give you guys some ideas. Feel free to hit something in the comments if you've got a piece of gear that you like. Yeah, add it to it. This is stuff that I've found to be useful over the years, and when I say over the years of hunting, I mean public land hunting. Private land's a little bit different, but public land, a little bit higher potential of getting lost. You're all in new country, and you may go to set in, there already be a hunter in your place, and you have to get up and move. Also, you're generally walking in the dark and walking out in the dark, and if you shoot a deer and then you're tracking it, people always get mixed up, get turned, well, not always, but sometimes get mixed up, get turned around, and have a harder time getting back to the vehicle. So what I did, this is my normal kit. I carry it with me anytime that I'm hunting, especially public land hunting. This bag is the smallest bag that I will carry when I'm out in the woods. This is my bow hunting bag, and it's just a fanny pack. I've got it in case I'm up in a climbing stand or a ladder stand and I can't get away with carrying a bigger backpack. Excuse me. Sorry. Fighting allergies. But when I can't carry a bigger backpack, this is the kit. This is the smallest bag I'll ever take out in the woods. Other places, if I've got the opportunity, especially I'm going to be walking in a long ways, I usually carry a pack with me. This is a bare bones kit, and it's set up with the goal of fixing minor injuries, small cuts and normal stuff. You get cut skinning a deer or skinning out whatever. I do have a few things in here, not really trauma kit wise, but to fix minor to medium injuries, not any major kind of injury. You always hear stories about guys falling out of stands and falling on their arrows or cutting themselves open when they're skinning out or field dressing an animal. So there's some of that stuff in here, one for the first aid, but two, the other goal is in the event that I do get turned around and I have to spend a night in the woods, this is going to make that easier. Now, no survival kit guarantees survival, obviously, but they can make life a little bit more easy, make you a little bit less miserable, and increase your odds a little bit. And keep in mind, we said a little bit of first aid, an overnight to maybe 2 overnights in the woods. This is in the south. We're in Arkansas, so 30-40 degrees is about average what it's getting, as far as 30 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about as cold as it's getting. Now, obviously, we do have some colder nights, but 30 to 40 is the common. If you're up somewhere, Montana, Alaska, somewhere, where you're getting a lot colder temperatures, you're going to want more gear than this. But this is just what's in my kit. It's not necessarily what's on my body. I will talk about some of that stuff, but it's just kind of a little down and dirty, my hunting survival kit. So, first thing you see that I've got here is a water container. I don't need to explain that, do I? All right. You need water. Don't get dehydrated. Alright, this is just some snacks. This stuff's always with me. There's always some kind of breakfast or protein, energy bar, peanut butter crackers, and beef jerky. I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting in the stand or been out there later than I thought I was going to be, tracking a deer, something happened. The person who was supposed to be picking me up was running late, and this stuff was a lifesaver, just having those little bitty snack items in there. Trail mix is always good. And if you're going to be stuck in the woods for a couple days, that can make it a little bit more comfortable. And, hey, fat boy got to eat. All right, next item. This goes with me everywhere. This is a ripstop poncho. I love this. Looked all over the place for it. Finally ended up finding one on eBay. This is really similar to what I was issued in the military. It is a full-size poncho. It's enough to go over me and my pack. I've used it for shelters. I've used it for a waterproofing bag over my sleeping bag before. I've used it when I was up in a climbing stand and it started raining and I needed to keep myself in the dry. Great piece of equipment. I love it. Goes with me everywhere. Excuse me. This one is, I don't know if you can see it. Let's check here. Yeah, that is the actual ripstop material, and what I love about it is it has the tarp grommets on it, so you can tie it down. I've made these into quickie shelters. Like I said, I've wrapped them around bags before. You just can't beat that piece of gear. And in a pinch, I've even seen guys put deer or put game in them. If they had something big and heavy, and slide them off in there and use them for use it for a drag. It'll tear your poncho up, but if that's what you got to do, it's what you got to do. Okay, so cat tourniquet, combat application tourniquet. That's the CAT. You guys who know me know I love these things. You've seen it in my bug out bag video. It's a quick, high-speed tourniquet. This is really good if you've got a major laceration and you need to stop the bleeding fast. These things are indispensable. Worth their weight in gold. Not super expensive. I think you can get them anywhere from like $7 to $15 if you're shopping for them. Must-have piece of gear. I've heard. Buddy tells a story about a guy going elk hunting. Guy's skinning it and cuts his arm open on a rib bone. And just he slices it open. And the guide that was with him was also a fishing guide, and he ended up stitching him up because he fly fishes and he ties flies. Ended up stitching him up that way. But had he had one of these, he would have been able to stop the bleeding, pack that wound, get him closed up. Cat tourniquet, love it, know how to use it. 550 cord, or 550 pound test paracord. This is 50 feet of it. I've got it backstacked where it pulls off easy. I will use this for pulling bows or rifles up into stands. It's good for a quickie shelter. Tons of uses for cordage, and remember, we're talking about spending an overnight in the woods. This is 50 feet. I don't carry any less than 50 feet. Usually I prefer to have 100 feet because the more the better. Doesn't take up that much space. It's not super heavy, and you can never have enough cordage. Zip ties, just a handful, a couple different sizes. They don't take up any weight, don't take up any space. Quickie shelter, like I said, I've used them before when I get out there and a piece of my blind is torn up or I need to secure my tarp to something. I'll zip tie what I need down, and it's good to go. Those are good to have. And a lot of this is stuff that over the years I have added to it or needed at one point or another and went, oh, that would be great, and kept it in my kit and used it over and over and over. This is a new, so this is, top piece is a new addition. I used to keep one of these Mylar blankets, just the emergency blankets in there. You can pick these things up for less than $1 at Walmart, just about hardware stores. People got them all over the place. But that's a Mylar blanket. But I'm now using, it's Survival Frog is the brand, the company sells them, and it's a bivy bag. So a bivy bag is basically, for those that don't know, it's a waterproof bag that goes over your sleeping bag. So this is an emergency sleeping bag. I don't know if you can see there, but it's got the hunter orange on the outside, and it's that reflective Mylar on the inside. So that's great. It's a ready sleeping bag. This one is pocket size, and in a pinch, in a survival situation, that is just amazing. Electrical tape, so this one hasn't been unwrapped. That's one of those from building shelter to using as a band-aid. When I did construction, we always called it an electrician's band-aid because I can't tell you how many times I'd cut a finger and that stuff would get used, and it was just great. So, for fixing gear, for building shelters, you can use it for lashings, or, it holds pressure really well, oddly enough, and it'll stick when it's wet, so whether it's blood or rainy or whatever. I've used it before where I've gotten bad cuts on the finger, a couple wraps of electrical tape, and it was able to hold pressure long enough for me to get back and get everything patched up properly. With that is just a small ace bandage. Sprains are common. Sorry. You're walking in the dark, walking out in the dark, step on a rock, things like that. A lot of uses for that right there. This one doesn't take any space, doesn't weigh anything. It stays in my gear. All right. Good headlamp. Once again, I just said it. You're walking into the dark, walking out in the dark. Having a good headlamp is great. I can't tell you the number of times. Well, it's not very many. It was about one time where I was going, no, I'm going on a float trip. I'm going to be back. It's just a day float trip. I ended up getting off the river at about 11 o'clock at night, and the last 3-4 hours was in pitch dark, and I didn't have a headlamp because I didn't carry one. I always carry one now. I also carry a handheld light as part of my EDC. That little Surefire light is a good one. That goes with me when I hunt too. Alcohol swabs, good for washing hands, cleaning blood off your hands, cleaning cuts if you get a bad cut, and in a pinch, they make for a good fire starter. You know, alcohol is going to start a flame. Even if I have to clean blood off or clean anything with them, I'll still fold them back up, put them back in the package, because I can't tell you how many fires I've started with these just to get one going quick. Speaking of fire, these are my two things that I always have. One is a lighter. I don't need to explain that. The other one is a flint striker or a steel striker. And the reason I actually prefer this over a lighter is you can do it with gross motor skills. So if you've ever been cold, you know, out pulling up duck decoys, your hands are cold, and you tried to light one of these lighters and you couldn't get your thumb to go, or you know, you tried to zip your pants up, you couldn't get that thumb to work, you can do that with this flint striker. It gets a good spark. You know, you can see that. I absolutely love this. I probably started more fires with this than anything else. Anytime I'm carrying that flint striker, I carry one of these little medicine bottles, and I've got it packed full of dryer lint. This stuff takes a flame or takes a spark great. You can get a fire going in seconds with it. You can pack a lot in these. It's free, light, and easy to get access to. So anytime I'm carrying a flint striker, I carry one of those tubes. A couple of Band-Aids. You know, those stay in there. It's quick, easy. A lot of times I've gotten cuts before. Throw that Band-Aid on, put some electrical tape over it, and it'll stay. Bandana is the last item, or a handkerchief, whatever you call it. This is one of those things I carry all the time. It's just got so many uses. I mean, even if, you know, if you get a major cut, major bleed, and you need something to pack in there to stop the bleeding, you can do that in a pinch. One thing you want to think about is I prefer high-vis colors. I know this one's camo. I couldn't find my bright orange one. Nothing that is the color of any game animal out there. You never want to carry any of that stuff when you're hunting. You know, turkey season, they always tell you never red, white, and blue, because when toms are in heat, you know, their heads are red, white, and blue, and you don't want a red or blue handkerchief hanging out of your back pocket. I like them. I like bright orange ones for signaling. You know, if you're going to be out hunting, you need to have orange. You know, check your regulations, but I've always got some kind of hunter orange with me. It's good for signaling, good to make sure, you know, if you're, say you've fallen out of a stand, broken a leg, and you're sitting there waiting for rescue, it sucks when everything you have is camouflage and nobody can see you. So I would definitely recommend having some kind of hunter orange something in there. And that's what I like about this bivy bag. It's big and reflective and orange. I can use it for a lot of different things. And, you know, some kind of orange or bright, non-natural colored bandana. You know, tons of different purposes for those things. So that's just a little quick hit on what my gear is. We said it before. You know, survival kit is not going to guarantee survival. It is going to increase your odds a little bit, only if you know how to use the equipment that you have. But there's all kinds of hunting-related incidents that happen during hunting season. You know, we hear about it here in Arkansas, guys going out and getting injured or going out and getting lost. And having a good kit is going to help with that. The other thing is letting somebody know where you're going, where you're going to be hunting, what your plan is. You know, if you don't have somebody that you can call, a family member, you can call Game and Fish, give them a description of your vehicle, say, hey, I'm going to be in this area. But let somebody know where you're going. And the other thing, too, I always have what we call a go-to-hell plan. And it's a drop-dead time. I tell my wife, I will contact you by this time on this day. And if I don't, you need to start looking for me. And with that, I've got to hold to that, you know. Now, sometimes stuff happens and you can't get there. But always having those plans, always having a kit, and it increases your chance of survival and makes life a lot better. Appreciate you guys checking up with me. If you've got any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll get some more videos coming your way. Be safe out there.